Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Goodness Group and Nexba investor webinar for the Crowdcube platform. We're super excited to be here today. I might do a quick introduction of everyone first, starting with myself. So my name is Drew Bilby. I'm one of the co-founders of Goodness Group and Nexba. My background is civil engineering. Having started Nexba 15 years ago, in the Australian market, with a real passion for health and wellness and removing artificials and sugar from global diets. We're really excited as we've gone into the European market, and really excited for this Crowdcube raise. So on that note, I'll hand it over to Troy Douglas, the other co-founder.
G'day guys, awesome to be here. And yes, one of the other co-founders, also Drew's brother-in-law. And this has been a very exciting journey. And today what we're looking forward to taking you through is a bit of a presentation, snapshot of how the business has evolved from Nexba to Goodness Group Global today. So I won't go too deep into that details now, but I think what I'd love to do is handball over to Dave Warwick, our international CEO, and probably it might be nice for yourself, David, to just share how and why have you joined this journey?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Dave. I'm based here in London. The guys are down in Australia. I've been in the drinks industry 30 plus years, did 5 years each at the Pepsi bottle of Britvic soft drinks in the UK, 5 years at Coca-Cola Enterprises, and then I ran my own entrepreneurial startup for 14 years, Feel Good Drinks, and sold that to a UK PLC. So I've kind of done the entrepreneur journey from creation to sale of business. And when I met the guys, I looked at what they were doing with Nexba and thought, here's a great team, here's a great brand. They're playing against some massive global trends. They've got the right idea about how to go to market, and we've got a proposition here in a massively fast-growing functional drinks category, and then wider opportunities beyond that. For us to really take this brand globally and do something really exciting. So I've jumped on board. I've invested in the business. I've joined the team, and I'm now running the international side of the enterprise and helping the guys to shape the business and really accelerate it. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Fantastic, thanks, Dave. Just to confirm how this works today, so we'll take you through the presentation for about half an hour. We're going to then open up to a Q&A session. So if you see that at the top of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. That's where you can type your questions in, and we'll answer them at the end. And I guess the other thing is to also let you know is the raise is currently live. So we opened up last Thursday, tracking really well. So investment is currently open, and we're looking forward to answering your questions today. So I will share the presentation. Just give me a second.
Whilst I guess Drew's sharing that, I might give a bit of context. So yes, we are 15 years in, and I think what excites us today to be speaking with yourselves and those that as potential shareholders to join with Goodness Group via Crowdcube is we have been a business that's historically to date had incredible sophisticated wholesale investors that have backed our journey. I think what's fair to say is we have established ourselves, and what we're going to take you through now with Goodness Group Global, and it's the right time where we kind of want to get the people that love and support our brand the opportunity to join and become shareholders on this next phase as Goodness Group. So if we reflect back on our since inception, where we set up a little canning line in a place called Hornsby in Australia and made our first 100,000 cans ourselves with iced tea, is the business has grown significantly since then. And I think one of the key things that we always knew is going to be core to our business and group is how do we remove sugar and artificials by maintaining what is, I guess, the trifecta in terms of great taste. So that's what we'll share in a bit in terms of our Good Sweet IP. But I think in the last 3 years in particular, what we've learned is how do you build the best business in this industry? And we're going to share some of those pillars later in terms of brands and distribution and then operational efficiencies over time. But the vision for Goodness Group is to build that multi-brand, multi-channel, multi-market business and really leveraging that Good Sweet IP that we've got. So we'll take you through, and Joni and Dave in particular will share what we've already been establishing across UK and Europe. So if you jump to the next slide, Drew, I think one of the other kind of key snapshots that we'll be able to walk you guys through is we've become that leading naturally sugar-free and functional beverages brand, which is the core hero brand and product ranges that we have with Nexba. So GoodSweet has allowed us to really collaborate with retailers and evolve the Nexba brand to be really winning in that emerging functional healthy soft drink space with products like kombucha, nootropics, and better sodas, which we'll share, which is really exciting traction that we're already receiving in the big retailers in Australia with Woolworths and very soon to be Coles. The second piece is what I was touching on in terms of at the heart, we call it our Intel chip. It's our GoodSweet sweetener. So we want to always be at the forefront of innovation and food science. And our whole thing is removing sugar and artificials from consumption, full stop. And as I touched on, in this industry as founders, what we've learned a lot is we can be the ones that really drive building a platform. So being able to have a great team that can leverage volume and also know how do you, I guess, show up in the categories with the right consumer offering, which means that you shouldn't necessarily stretch one brand across everything. It's how do you really be really targeted and winning categories with meaningful brands. And we'll share exciting things that we've developed like Pace, our sports hydration brand, which is getting off to a really exciting start in Australia and hopefully very soon into the UK and into India, given the support and back comments that's behind that as well. So the fourth piece there is exactly that platform of positive brands and products. And we'll be talking through those extensions that we've got. And that fifth piece is really, we know there's significant further expansion to leverage what we've already set up. And I guess the proof is in the traction that Dave will be able to talk through in terms of the international expansion, what we're already achieving. Last year was also a pretty exciting year for the business, and we're proudly able to share that we've become B Corp certified, which is a big thing about as values. One of our values is be better. So we always want to make an impact with everything that we do. So you can keep cracking on, Drew. So the next piece around market trends, I know everybody is probably familiar with this, but if you look at the industry of beverages, and a big focus for us is what we learned very early on is how do you take on the multinationals and the big giants? It's by being the best that you can in everything that you do, particularly liquids. So for us, these trends, it allows us to have really significant conversations with retailers and to get traction is the pieces of rejection of sugar. When we began this journey, we actually reflect having conversations with major retailers, and the feedback that we would get at the time, nearly 15 years ago, was consumers don't buy better for you. And if you just think how fast that change has occurred now is why I guess we're so passionate to be playing in this space. The second piece around desire for all natural is at the heart of GoodSweet. So I think what concerned us as parents, as consumers, is we were concerned that when sugar was removed, artificials were replaced inside the products. And it was only last year that we waited a long time for this. The World Health Organization came out and exposed ingredients like aspartame, which are artificial sweeteners, that if you look at even the UK soft drink market, there's nearly 2 billion worth of soft drinks that are packed with aspartame. So many of these brands that are diet have aspartame, which is now being linked to causing things like cancer. So when you think about how do you make an impact as a brand and a business, our whole thing has been the more people that consume Nexba, the more people that are not consuming things that either have that sugar or artificial sweeteners. And I guess there's authenticity where the founders and our international CEO here today, so feel free to ask whatever questions you've got. We look forward to giving you those answers. Doing the right thing, full stop. That's why we exist. And then I think what's definitely becoming a massive trend in the industry is not only being naturally sugar-free, but adding additional function and health to all the products that we have. So I think they're the key attributes that we focus on.
Thanks, Troy. What I think one of the things that's really clear, and we'll go through this in more detail, is that business strategy has always been around making the Nexba brand, which is our core brand, as big as we possibly can in our home market of Australia, getting distribution inside the major supermarkets, in the petrol and convenience outlets, and really making that an iconic household brand in the Australian market. We've then, as part of Goodness Group, gone out and developed other brands, and we'll go through those later as well. And Pace Hydration is one of those. But something which has been an absolute strategic pillar for us has been the European expansion. I'm going to hand it over to Dave quickly. There is another slide which we go much more in detail about it, but I think it's such a big piece of what we've been doing, so it's worth touching on it now, Dave.
Yeah, so Australia is a great market. 26 million people. There's a lot more people than that in Europe, and a very well developed soft drinks market. And some of the individual countries within Europe are very, very advanced in consumer understanding of functional drinks and the move towards healthier and better for you products. So it's really fertile territory for what the business is trying to achieve, and we've taken advantage of that. We brought Nexba into the UK as our lead market, proven the brand here, and we're now rolling that out across the rest of the European territories, and we'll go into a little bit of detail of that. But we're currently available to 250 million consumers across Europe, and there's still a lot further growth ahead.
Super exciting. In Australia itself, we are, absolutely, national distribution in all the major retailers. So our supermarket, Coles and Woolworths, are two biggest supermarkets over here. We have ranging in IGA, which is all the independent channel as well. Costco ranging, Campbell's ranging. We play in that better for you space in the functional, kombucha, functional soft drinks, nootropic beverages, in the mixer space. And then we've got the other brands that we've been speaking about. Both, one of the big ones that we've got is the Pace Hydration brand with the partnership with Australian cricket captain Pat Cummins. One of the other really exciting brands is On The Go Nourishment. It's called the Good Brekkie. So that is all about convenience, lunchbox for kids, really going heavy into that sort of place where, particularly in Australia, that convenient on-the-go brekkie is a really big piece of the market. The major player in that space is about a $400 million RSV business. So, we're looking at getting a sizable chunk of that, which is super exciting. And then lastly, our brand Remix, which is basically a better for you alcohol brand. It's a wine-based fruit punch. Really, really interesting. We've got national ranging in First Choice Superstore Liquor Mart in Australia, which is great. And really looking to kind of roll that out as we come into spring in Australia over here for a really big summer for Remix. So very exciting to see that hopefully get out there to a much, much larger distribution footprint. I'll hand it over to Dave for the international reach.
So this is kind of the progress we've made in Europe over the last 2 or 3 years. So our kind of go-to-market plan here is that we work with a distribution partner in each individual country, and those partners are experts in taking international brands and achieving distribution with retailers in their markets. So they have a track record in delivering that. They have the relationships with the retailers. They have the teams on the ground to execute in the stores. And we've taken the view of finding the right partner in each market and working with them to achieve the right distribution. So we started in the UK, and we have a great distribution partner here in Petty Wood. They've got us into distribution in pretty much the majority of the major supermarket groups, with one noticeable exception in Asda, but we're getting them next. So we're in Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Morrison's, Ocado, Amazon, and Booths, which is all the supermarket groups in the UK, with, as I say, one exception. So that's an amazing performance, and the rates of sale and performance of our products in those stores is absolutely brilliant, and we're achieving incremental distribution each quarter as the reviews come around with the retail partners. That proof point in the UK has really set up the conversations with the international distributors, and we now have partners in all of the markets that you can see here. So France, Netherlands, all the Scandinavian markets, Ireland, crossing to Poland, down into France, and across now into Romania as well. So really good distribution. And then most recently, we've started to conclude some of our live negotiations for additional market launches. So within the last couple of weeks, we secured a new distribution partner for Spain and Portugal. We're expecting within the next few weeks to sign contracts with our distribution partner in Italy, and we're very, very close to an agreement for Germany as well as other markets. So we're in active conversations with a wide range of additional markets, whether that's Switzerland, Greece, Belgium, South Africa. So the rollout is pretty impressive, and each market we go into, the distribution partners secure the right retail partnerships for us. And most of the major retail brands across Europe are now on our list, and you can see some of those brands represented here, whether it's Auchan or Carrefour or K Group, Jumbo, many, all of these are some of the biggest retail players across Europe, as well as some multi-market retail businesses like the Normal stores, where we're in all of their stores across all of Europe. So, yeah, very, very strong performance, very fast acceleration, and the guys are doing a great job in all of our markets.
I'll leave you to continue talking about.
Yeah, so in terms of how, sorry, Drew, I thought you were jumping in for a second. In terms of the way we kind of go to market in some of these countries, and I guess including Australia, that the principles are exactly the same. So we want to work with our customers, and we want to talk directly to our consumers. So we have a fully integrated marketing approach. In Australia, we manage this directly through our agencies and our retailers. In our European markets, we work with the marketing teams at our distribution partners, and we execute local activity as well as executing social media platforms for Australia and separate social media platforms for Europe, which we manage centrally. So it's a combination of paid media activity, working with PR and influencers, and we have very, very positive relationships with lots of influencers who target specifically functional drinks users and as well as lifestyle influencers. We do lots of sampling and events activity. Nexba in particular is a brand that really lends itself to having a good time in the sunshine. And of course, we work with the retailers on shopper activations. So yeah, very busy marketing agenda executed across all of our markets.
Awesome. I think one of the key things that Troy and I have done since we started this business is always looking for the absolute experts and best talent that we could possibly get. Dave is a really key and crucial example of someone who has incredible experience and someone who has driven our European and UK business to completely new heights. And I think Troy and I have always had the view that we want to be employing people that are just better than us effectively, because that's the best way we can possibly grow, and the way that we're going to grow the best possible business. So in Australia, we've got some really, really handy people. Incredible what they do. Dan Talbot is our operations director. Pinched him from PepsiCo about 7 years ago. Mike Williams used to work at Ferrero, head of sales for us. Incredible talent. Charlotte Petrus started her own business, CEO of a finance company over here called Timelio, has recently joined, which is super exciting. I'll hand it over to Dave to talk about the international division.
Yes, we have a small but perfectly formed team over here. When 3 of the key individuals are shown on here. So Laura is a highly experienced grocery ambassador. So she has relationships top to bottom in the purchasing functions of all the major grocery retailers across the UK and convenience channels as well. And she ensures that we have the right meetings with the right people at the right time and get the right results, and does a great job for us. Jaap Thijssen is Dutch. He has been an international sales director for soft drinks businesses for the last 20 years. He works for us on a 50% of his time basis, and has connections into distributors in every country pretty much in the world, and he's working through those priority markets for us, opening the doors and getting us those distribution contracts in place. And Pete, who happens to be Dan's brother, is doing exactly the same job in the UK and Europe as Dan is doing in Australia. So he runs the operations functions, manages all of our co-packing partnerships, does all the purchasing, and ensures that we have the right stock at the right quality in the right place at the right time with all the right reporting. So yeah, great team of very talented individuals with a few additional supporters on the outskirts of that as well. So yeah, I think we're well set to manage our continued expansion.
Awesome.
Nice. Thanks. I think in this next phase in this slide that I just want to share is we reference these pillars of growth, and just hearing Drew and Dave kind of take us through what we've established both in Australia and international in the UK and Europe. It really does share our ambition has always been the fact that the removal of sugar and artificials is a global opportunity and a need that should happen for consumers. So I think for us as Goodness Group, it is about establishing at the heart of this industry incredibly solid brands that are all underpinned with our good suite. The next piece is about in food and beverage, how do you make impact and get availability and accessibility? And that's through distribution. And by getting the right team and the right people and having the right proof points with the brands that you've got, that's what accelerates your distribution into new markets, and retailers are willing to give you that chance because you've actually proven some track record historically through Nexba, both in Australia, in the UK, and now into the markets that are expanding into Europe. So if we reflect on one of the most nervous things as founders that we actually had many years ago, and that was shipping product across the ocean over to the UK, knowing that would be a negative margin. But we did that for clear reasons, that we had a deliberate investment strategy to prove that Nexba can make impact in the shelves in a Sainsbury's, as it does back home in Australia in Coles and Woolworths. So fortunately for us, that impact has been significant. Sorry. And when we now think about that third pillar of really accelerating growth, we've almost had to hold back how fast we can expand internationally, because in the UK and Europe markets, we were shipping out of Australia at negative margin. But what we're proud to say is, from an operational improvement perspective, we're now established both in the UK with an incredible partner down in Devon, and also in Poland from the European to help us expand as well with the can format. So we're fully established to help us scale in a really fast way. And I think is what you do learn in this industry over time, and by having incredible people like Dave join the journey, is how do you make an impact, add value to retailers, but also make sure that you got the right formats and products for consumers, and then how do you put it in a way that can really drive that efficiency through the right promotional tactics to have impact and allow people to taste your products. So these are the three fundamental pillars that we focus on as a business, and this really is what is underpinning a really exciting year ahead for us, which is moving our business from an investment phase into positive operational EBITDA moving forward. So we're well and truly on track for that delivery, which is exciting. So that first pillar, I'll hand over, I think, to Drew probably to give you a bit more insights into those brands that we've got.
Perfect. Thanks, Drew. So yeah, as we sort of mentioned a few times, our core brand is Nexba, and it remains to be Nexba. That is our core brand in Australia. It's also our core brand across Europe as well. That is a super exciting brand, incredibly fast growing in the functional soft drink space. So when you think about the kombucha category itself, is growing really fast for us, both in Australia and much faster in the UK, given that it's coming off a small base. I think we're in high double-digit growth in the UK for kombucha, which is super exciting. We also have our better soda, Nexba Better Soda brand, which is all about the functional soft drinks and prebiotic soft drinks category. This is the category which is incredibly exciting in the US. Has recently, about 2 years ago, come over to Australia. We're really starting to own that category. Better Soda is performing incredibly well in both major retailers. We launched in the second major retailer in about 3 weeks in Australia, but I've been in Woolworths for about 2 months now, and just blowing away the level of sales. So really excited by that.
I would like to jump in and say Nexba actually was 5 years ago. We were the first with probiotic sodas. We're probably 2 ahead of our time. So it is finally exciting to see the impact that's happening internationally, and then to be able to re-establish ourselves with Better Soda locally is a super exciting thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I think the other brand, or the other second brand that we're super excited about, is a brand that we launched about 3 months ago in the Australian market. It is Pace Rapid Hydration. That brand is a joint venture with Australian cricket captain Pat Cummins, and it's all about rapid hydration, which delivers it in a much different way to anything else that's in the market at the moment. Not only is it naturally sugar-free, but we use an amino acid blend to help with the absorption of the electrolytes into the gut. So a very different proposition to your traditional mainstream sports drinks. Something which has a much greater benefit, but also provides that rapid hydration. I think with a sporting star, particularly for the Australian market, like Pat Cummins behind it, and also for the Indian market, which we're now looking at and already discussing with distributors over there, because cricketers, English or Australian cricketers, are really revered in the Indian market. and a really, really good, I guess, face of the brand. So super exciting both here and over there. And I think we've got some, which Dave can touch on as well, some really exciting plans for Pace, or the face of Pace in the English and European markets as well. Before I hand over to Dave, I'll keep going on the others. So we've got the Good Sorts, which I think I mentioned before is all about better for you, convenient on the go nutrition. The liquid breakfast category in Australia that I mentioned before is a $400 million RSV category, so it's huge. We're growing really nicely in that space, and we've got partnerships both with one of the major retailers and also school distributors to ensure that kids are really at the grassroots level getting exposed to really healthy nutrition, which is fantastic. So our goal is to continue to grow that product and get a small piece of that $400 million RSV and continue to grow that over the next few years, which is a really big opportunity for us. And then finally, we've got the Remix brand, which is this better for you alcohol proposition. It's all about a wine-based fruit punch, really, really high growth category in the States as well, coming over to Australia more recently, and really sort of, I guess, tapping into those trends that are working really well, particularly as consumers are looking for that value proposition too. So really big opportunities, and really exciting brands that we've just now really focused on executing into this next phase. I might hand it over to Dave just quickly to talk about, I guess, Nexba and in the UK and our plans for Pace as well.
Yeah, indeed. So we have, as we've rolled into the UK and Europe, focused very heavily on the Nexba brand and particularly on the kombucha proposition. Kombucha as a good gut health, delivering soft drinks category is in really good growth here. That the scale of the category in Australia demonstrates how big it could get, and the UK retailers are very supportive of that. We are absolutely leading the charge on that with 2 of the 5 best-selling products in the category, and our 1 litre recycled plastic bottles range is kind of very, very prominent in the kombucha category in UK grocery, and rolling out now across the European markets, as you've seen. So we're going to continue to be led by Nexba kombucha, but what that does do is get us into the relationship with all of those European distribution partners, all of whom sell a range of brands, many of whom have gaps in their portfolios for additional new brands that we can bring to them over time. So as the international lead, I guess I'm in the very fortunate position of being able to observe the brilliant job that the team are doing in Australia in executing these brands with their major grocery partners, and then taking the learnings from that and picking up those brands and rolling them into the right markets internationally where the brand fits, the distributors have the right space in their portfolios, and we can tailor the propositions to work. Pace is a really good example of that. So it's very clear that our international priority for Pace beyond Australia will be to launch into the Indian market. Pat is one of the leading players in the Indian Premier League cricket, highly recognised in that market, and very keen to support us as we build into India. So we're working very hard on that. But Pace, it has a true point of difference versus other sports hydration brands, and we will want to bring that to other wider global markets where Pat will not necessarily be the most popular sports person who we can partner with. So we already have plans in place to work to build a network of sports ambassadors who can be the face of Pace as we roll into other international markets in coming years, and that will obviously include the European markets and the UK, where we're already in those great distributor and retailer relationships. So yeah, we're focused on Nexba on the international stage, and we'll continue to drive that really hard, building it from being what was a 10 markets brand 3 or 4 months ago to a 15 markets brand by the end of September, targeting 20 markets by January, 30 by the end of next year. So we'll continue to roll Nexba out globally, but we will then bring the other brands into those international territories where we have the right partners and the right opportunities, and we'll execute them in the right way for the local markets. So massive amounts of upside and opportunity ahead.
I think the next slide that we're going to jump into, thanks Dave, in terms of distribution, one of the key aspects of the traction and the success that Dave just outlined that we're achieving in that kind of broader international market expansion is due to the traction that the brand Nexba is achieving in the retailers and also in Australia and markets like the UK. And I think what's an exciting position to be in, particularly in our international business, is kombucha and functional products are in their earlier infancy in markets like the UK versus what they are in Australia. I think the last time I checked, it's about a 10th per capita consumption rate versus what it is in Australia with kombucha. So if we reflect back to 2017 in Australia, we were enjoying doubling 100% growth year on year for nearly 5 years in a row off the back of a high growth category. And I think when we look at where we're now positioned, it's even more of a profound, I guess, market share impact that we've already got in a market like the UK, which is 3 times the size of Australia. And we're able to be a clear leader with Nexba in a brand in an emerging and high growth category. So I think from a distribution piece, this is only going to continue to grow and accelerate off the back of a category that's also in a thematic growth. And we're a brand. So if you think what's unique to Nexba, we probably haven't shared this in detail, is people might taste kombucha and it can not necessarily be the most yummy, delicious thing that you tasted. But I think what's unique because of our Good Sweet IP is we wanted to tackle the category and make it more mainstream and accessible by being great tasting. So when you taste one of our kombuchas, we absolutely have all the efficacy and the good gut health benefits. But we will taste like a delicious soft drink or the fruit that's on the flavor of choice that you pick from an Nexba. So I think that's at the core of how we can really scale and how we are scaling our distribution in a very, I guess, fast way. And I think Dave's targeting, what is it, 20 by the end of FY25?
20 by January, 30 by the end of next year. So yeah, leave it with me.
Yeah, so it's exciting. And then if you think not just markets in the Australian business, so we're growing from 20 million net sales to 30 million net sales in FY25 back because of what you can see on the screen. And in the Australian market, which is more, I guess, established, one of those channels that we haven't been in, like the independent grocery channel, is an area of growth for us, as is the petrol and convenience channel. So I guess they're the key pillars that we're going to be focused on for the next 12 months. I think, Dave, that you were actually meant to talk to this slide, but I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add here.
No, I think we've covered it off. I think, yeah. Look, the move outside of grocery into independent retail in Australia is a massive step up for the brand, massive increase in consumer awareness and points of availability. And the partners we're working with on that are already delivering incredibly well in Australia. And our partners in Europe, we very deliberately choose partners who are multi-channel. So we don't just choose people who can sell to grocery. We choose people who can sell to the convenience, petrol and forecourt and food service channels as well. So we will start in grocery and then we'll roll to the other channels across all of our markets. And at the same time as we're doing that in the markets we're already in, we'll roll to more markets. And then at the right time, we'll bring the additional brands into those markets. So the steps on the ladder towards growth are very clearly laid out, and we're very, very clear on what our priorities are, and the team are executing against it really well.
Yeah, and whilst Drew jumps onto the last slide in terms of operational improvements, I think one thing that I would like to just share as a founder reflecting is when you have a market like the Netherlands, secure a customer like IKEA, to have our Nexba kombucha cans front of, like in the cafeteria where you get the hot dogs and the goodies. It's a huge, reflection of the traction and the belief that new customers and new markets have when they taste our products.
Correct.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Joe. So we'll finish on the slide, guys, and then we'll go on to a Q&A session. One of the main things that we've been focused on for the last kind of 12 months in particular is, this operational improvement and making sure that we're really moving towards what is now a profitable business, a very sustainable business, and a business which is set up for high growth. For the last kind of 4 years in particular, it has been around, in the Australian market, it's been around brand building and investing a significant amount into building brands. And in the European market, it's been about building distribution. And to do that, at least initially to start with, and for the last few years, we've been exporting out of the Australian market, which has been, obviously very cost challenged and a huge investment for us to do that. One of the really exciting things is that we now have a joint venture with a PET manufacturer with Tarka Springs down in Devon, So we're getting everything that's produced now, or sorry, everything that's sold in the European market is now produced regionally in Europe, not just with Target, but also with our other major partner, Vitamin in Poland. So really exciting. We've gone from basically an exporting model in Australia to now a locally manufactured model in Europe. Significantly increased our marginality from a negative investment margin into a very positive margin in the high 20s. So those are some of the operational improvements that we've been working on. Obviously, along with significant overhead reduction, getting the right size team and the right resource in has been critical. But making sure that we're really now in the next kind of 12, 18 months set up with a really strong foundation to execute on that and really high growth, which is super exciting. But most importantly, in a profitable, sustainable way as well. Is there anything, Dave, that you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would just add on top of that, Drew, is that that's been a big win, and we are now set up so that every market we're in, we have a high margin model, and every extra case we sell is driving additional gross profit for the business, which can reinvest in marketing and team to drive as we go and drop some profit to the bottom line. So, we're now kind of all the brakes are off and it's full steam ahead, which is really good. And I think the other thing we've done really well is to make sure we deliver that in a way that is as sustainable as it can be, and is reducing our impact on the planet. So, we are on the way through that process. We got our B Corp certification last December, and we are making sure with our suppliers and our customers that everything we do, we have an eye on the impact on the planet, and we know how important that is for consumers and for retailers. So we're doing the growth, we're doing it profitably, but we're doing it in the right way as well.
Thanks. I think we're at the end of our slideshow. There might be a little sneak peek to give you a bit more impact to pace, which Drew can touch on. But I might actually just kick off from a Q&A perspective, Dave, with yourself. You've been in this industry a little bit longer than Drew and myself. I think it just might be nice for people that are listening or potentially considering joining us on this journey in investing. Like, what made yourself, with such experience, having been president of the UK Soft Drink Association, to then, I guess, back and join this journey that we're on?
I've always been a fan of entrepreneurial businesses, and obviously I ran one myself for a long time. I also, when I ran that entrepreneurial business, I created a brand and a business that was about making people's lives healthier and a little bit more enjoyable. And I saw a lot of parallels of that in what you guys were doing. And I think what you have developed in Good Sweet as a all natural, plant-based, zero-calorie sweetener that actually tastes really good is pretty much completely unique in the industry. And it's something that I know the big soft drinks companies have been striving towards and failing to get to for a very long time. So the way of applying that into the Nexba brand and into the functional beverages that we're delivering through that really said to me that we've got a team here that know what they're doing, that they've identified a massive set of consumer trends. They've brought some products to market that deliver against not just naturally sugar-free, which is massively important, but also the emerging functional benefit requirement of consumers and the added value that brings for retailers. And also you've got a team around you two who are just great people. You're backed by great investors. You're backed by great advisors. And so I thought that, here's a business that's doing an amazing job in Australia, doesn't really know how to do that internationally because they haven't had the experience of it. And if I can support that, then we'll be taking a lot of sugar and artificial ingredients out of people's diets. We'll be making people healthier. We'll be building some great big brands around the world, and having a little bit of fun along the way, and hopefully delivering some fantastic returns for investors. So, I like working with good people. I like doing good things, and I saw all of that in the Nexba and Goodness Group business, and that's why I got involved.
Thanks, Dave. I think you've kind of touched on the key kind of last comments that I might share. As one of the founders of Goodness Group, we are very much on this mission to create a platform better for you brands that taste good and do good. I think if you are making that decision to join our journey and invest, where uniquely positioned, I think, as management and founders, that we have very high confidence of moving from 20 million net sales to 30 million net sales, which sounds like an incredibly strong growth, but that's actually underpinned by what we've already secured. And if you think about it, we're annualizing traction that we've already got in the international slide by getting 12 months of sales versus 1 month that we might have achieved last year. And in the Australian market, we have achieved some really incredible outcomes as we've transitioned to have a bigger shelf presence and impact in that better for you functional healthy space with the Nexba Better Soda and our Nexba Kombucha, and obviously the new brands that we've launched with Pace. So we invite you guys to join. You can always reach out and connect direct with Drew and myself at any point in time, and Dave with any questions that you guys have. And yeah, thank you for your time and listening. But I'll hand over to Drew. I don't know if you have anything else you want to share.
Yeah, perfect, guys. I mean, thank you so much for your time. I won't go into a big spiel. What I will say is that we currently are live on the Crowdcube platform and taking investment. We are super excited. I think, Dave, we're about 70 something, sorry, 87% of the minimum funding target. So
80-something.
Moving super fast, really great start. And looking forward to not only getting to the minimum, but really getting much closer to that maximum. But please do reach out. We are very happy to answer all questions. And thanks again for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Cheers.